Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Just to be clear, this is what Anthony Cabo said in Sabo. He says, I'm very happy with the way the campaign, the messaging and its consistency have gone. If you listen to Bawumia and Cape Coast and then meet him in Yendi, you hear the same message. It's very consistent. People are beginning to see a consistent presidential candidate, a person who is very knowledgeable, very humble, very calm, who is the type of president Ghanaians are looking for. You cannot describe Mahama, president, without talking about the fact that he's indeed a gentle president. And that's the type of mellowness Ghanaians are looking for. People are looking for a candidate who is very accessible, a person who listens. One of the things we have done in opposition as a party is listen. Come on, Pratt.
Well,
Do you hear that?
well, I mean, it is not surprising to be shocked sometimes by statements which come from the New Patriotic Party. Normally. But I must say that this morning I'm completely shocked at a statement which has been made by my brother and friend Sabo. Sabo is saying on public television that his political party has decided that in the primaries they are organizing nationwide, they don't want to see any national security personnel. Shocking. So very shocking. Why? The national security establishment is established by the laws of Ghana. It has jurisdiction to ensure that peace is not breached anywhere in Ghana, including people's private homes. And yet, one political party has decided that as far as it is concerned, the operations of national security must cease when it comes to its selection of a presidential candidate. I cannot understand this. Maybe that is not what he meant. Maybe that is not what my brother meant. But he will have the opportunity to explain himself. But if that is what he meant, then I'm shocked. Because whether you like it or not, in every and any country, the national security apparatus has an interest in what happens in political parties and has an interest in protecting all political actors and so on. So this decision, if indeed is true, is exceedingly strange. And I'm sure that my brother will have the opportunity to come back and tell us whether or not indeed what he said is what he meant.
That's the position. So yesterday, the organizers gave a directive and they don't want national security. In fact, I was on the show here when he was called. So we called an African joint news called him. and so there is a directive from their party that they don't want national security.
I still want to give somebody the opportunity to react. It was a very strange decision. You understand? Maybe they are not saying it well. So I think it's important to listen to him. Maybe, they are not saying it well. Now, the other thing that I like to talk about has to do with all of these polls which are being published. Indeed, at the last count, Global Info Analytics had given Bawumia 57% of the votes. There are some, in fact, what Joy did, the Joy Media, what they did was to put all of the predictions together and strike an average. And on the basis of that average, they gave Bawumia 47%. Okay. Now, there's a fundamental problem with these predictions. Notwithstanding the fact that over the last couple of years, Global Info Analytics has tended to generally predict right, his predictions have been proven correct. Now, all of these polling agencies are saying that they are polling delegates. Don't forget, they say they are polling delegates. Okay? They've taken a sample of the delegates and they are asking them direct questions. And on the basis of their answers, they have come to these conclusions. But there's a problem there. Sana, it was on this very platform that Dr. Dixon Adumaku Kwesi told us, and he is campaigning for Brian Achampo, that they have been trying to get the delegates list, and that was last week, and trying to call the delegates. As of last Saturday, they had not been able to get the telephone numbers of even 100 delegates out of 200,000 delegates. So if the campaign of Brian Achampo cannot get the delegates list, how did Global Info Analytics get the delegates list? All these polling agencies and so on, how did they get the delegates list when the contestants themselves are complaining that they cannot get the delegates list? And you see, you must get the delegates list, know their location if you are going to them to interview them, or at least have their telephone numbers to be able to conduct these polls which are being thrust in our faces. Okay? So on the basis of that, I'm not sure about all these polling results that are being flashed in our faces on the basis of that. Now, for me, the other thing too which is important is that I think I know the NPP fairly well. And I know its history fairly well, partly also because I've been around for some time. I'm not a young man, you understand? And one of the things that I've learned about the NPP is that people change at the last minute. There can be dramatic changes at the very last minute. In fact, I think it was in 1998 when former President Akufo-Addo contested former President John Adekun Kufuor. And the prediction was that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was going to sweep the elections clean. Up to the day the Congress was held, President Kufuor was the favorite. All the polls predicted victory for President Kufuor. All the insiders said President Kufuor was going to win. President Akufo-Addo was going to win, hands down, and so on. Masa, that election took place in a Congress. On the floor of Congress, in the space of 6 hours, everything changed. And Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo lost to President Kufuor. So I'm keenly aware of this possibility. And that's why I'm not sticking my neck out and saying this one will win and that one will win. Yeah. Indeed, the last 24 hours in an election of this nature can be very, very crucial, and many things can change. And this is not just based on speculation. I've heard, and I'm sure some of you have heard, some of the supporters of Dr. Brian Achampo say that as for them, they are sure that the last minute, wonders will happen. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard them say that, look, we are not worried at all. Let them give us any percentage. We know what we are going to do at the very last minute. Now, that claim appears to have some credence even in the polls that I'm not so sure about. Because all the polls are predicting that Dr. Brian Achampo has been rising steadily over the last 3 months. Everybody is saying that his votes have been appreciating over the last 3 months. Now, if his votes are appreciating, the question then is the last few hours, the last 24 hours, the last 48 hours, at what speed will those votes appreciate? And if they appreciate so very fast, what will the outcome of the elections be? There's a third issue that I think we need to look at. And it's about comparing the results of the last primaries to this one. That is, if the polls are correct. Okay? Now, if the polls are correct, the poll which has given Dr. Bawumia the highest number of votes is Global Info Analytics. And Global Info Analytics has given Dr. Bawumia 57%. The last primaries in the NPP, Dr. Bawumia got 67%. So then again, you are seeing a decline in his votes. Now, if within his own party, his votes are declining, the question to ask is what will happen to him in a national election? If even within his own party, his votes are declining, then what will happen to him in, a national election? Now, this morning, again, I heard my brother and my friend Sabo refer to the pact that they signed, the contestants signed, as a memorandum of understanding. One step forward. One clear step forward. Because I was wondering why they chose to call it a peace pact. You understand? And I was raising the question that if contestants in an internal primary will sign a peace pact, what will the combatants in Sudan be signing? But somehow it appears that they have woken up to that fundamental error, and some of them, I'm hearing them now, call what they signed a memorandum of understanding. Now, why has it become necessary for the contestants to sign a memorandum of understanding? Why has it become necessary? Obviously, the anticipation of heightened tension and conflict is the only reason why they were made to sign a peace pact. You understand? Now, what is occasioning that? Senna, watch the campaign for 1 year. So many people in the party had said horrible things about Kennedy and Japan. Really horrible things that I would not even repeat on this platform. Terrible things about Kennedy and Japan. Some talking about how he's likely to behave as president in the UN General Assembly, and so many other things. The party structure has never called anybody who has attacked Kennedy Japan to order. Check. Have you heard the party at any time caution people who are taking Kennedy Japan to the cleaners? Have you heard the party? No. So it is okay to attack Kennedy Japan. It is okay to insult Kennedy Japan. It is okay to say that Kennedy Japan is unfit to become presidential candidate. But woe betides you if you say anything which makes Bawumia uncomfortable. The party will issue a statement, you'll be dragged to disciplinary committee, or you'll be threatened by the party structure. Okay? What has not been said about Brian Achampo? Terrible things have been said about Brian Achampo. The party did not react. Brian Achampo is not a party member. As far as the party executives are concerned, he can be insulted. His reputation can be soiled and so on. It doesn't matter. What tells you if you dare make any unpleasant statement about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? These are the things which have led to the building up of tension and a suspicion that this process cannot be free and fair. You understand? This is what has led to this situation. There was one particular incident which told a million stories. When they were going to file, their nominations, there are 5 of them. The party machinery broadcast the filing of Dr. Bawumia live. The party structure, the party's communication machinery made sure that Dr. Bawumia's filing of nomination was live. None of the 4 others received that treatment. How can they believe that the party executive is fair? How can anybody believe that the party executive has been fair in this election? Senate does more. For all practical purposes, this election arrangement has been made in such a way that the very people or offices who chose Dr. Bawumia as their candidate for the 2024 elections are the same very people who are going to choose the flag bearer now. How come? That is why there's this whole argument about top-down, down-top arrangement and so on. It's about this. And it is not accidental. At least many leading members of the New Patriotic Party do not think that this is accidental. My very good friend, Adainu, who was a contestant in the last election, pulled out. Because he knew and said that he had no fair chance of emerging as the flag bearer of the party through this election, which they and many others described as sham. It had been predetermined. If the same people who elected Dr. Bawumia are the same people who, after how many years, are going to decide who becomes flag bearer of the party, then you can imagine the outcome. The outcome is almost, a foregone conclusion. Now, it appears also, and that is why Professor Frimpong Boateng and others are livid, it appears also that some smart people in the party, and you can be crookedly smart, too, have decided that this party forever must serve the interest of a certain group in the party. Okay? That the democratic ethos that the party has claimed to be building should be thrown to the dogs. Why do I say this? I say this because no matter how you look at the process, if the election of executives from the polling station up all the way to national is conducted with a certain presidential candidate in place, no matter what happens, that certain presidential candidate will have substantial influence in determining who becomes the executives. So by this arrangement that they have adopted, indeed, the end result, if Dr. Bawumia should win, is that the NPP would have become nothing more than the Bawumia fan club. And that is a serious issue, as far as democratic practice is concerned and so on. Now, I've heard many of them, most of them, in fact, all of them, say that they are going into these primaries to select a candidate who will win the 2028 election. That is their focus. Why is that their focus? I just wonder. Because given the state of the party, I would have thought that the primary focus of the party should have been rebuilding the structures and building confidence, you understand, in Ghanaians and so on. But they've skipped that. Their priority is winning 2028. That's a problem. How do you win 2028 with the party in this state? That's a big issue. And I am struggling to understand it. I cannot, understand it. Now, you see, some of their statements have been worrying. I heard a leading member of the party publicly on television, publicly, and he knows that he's being filmed. And he's saying that, look, all these prophets and archbishops who have been making election predictions, we are the people who put them to it.
Yeah.
We gave them the results of our opinion polls and directed them as to what to say. Sana, can you believe it? Instead of developing viable programs which would address the felt needs of the people of Ghana and so on, they employ prophets and archbishops to deceive the population. And this is their own words. Oh, I'm not making this up. One of the leading members said, we did that thing, and then we called them, and then we give them and say, go and say this, go and say that. You understand? Now, the results of the last election should teach them that you don't win elections by getting fake prophets and charlatans to make predictions. You win elections by addressing the felt needs of the people. You need to use the tools of research, scientific tools of research, in order to gauge where the people are, what their aspirations are, and address them as a means of winning elections. Not paying fake charlatans, prophets, and so on, to go and make statements in your favor. You understand? But it seems to me that hasn't changed much. You've heard the prophets on these primaries. Hey, God is in trouble. Hey, God is in trouble. Everybody is using his name. One of the prophets said, look, that the NPP, which is conducting this election or these primaries, will be shocked. They, conducting the elections, will be shocked. Because by the time they will finish, Kennedy Japan would have taken a commanding lead. And it won't just end there. God will shock the people of Ghana by making sure that by December 2028, Kennedy Japan becomes the president-elect of Ghana. There's another one who has said that, as for Obama, he doesn't have to worry at all. God has already blessed him. He will win hands down. So how many gods do we have? There's the God of Kennedy Japan, the God of Brian Achampong, the God of Bawumia, the God of Edutrum. Unfortunately, Kennedy Japan doesn't have any God on his side. Because I haven't heard any of the prophets predicting that he will win. And I wonder what Kennedy Japan did to God.
He himself hasn't asked God for anything.
I'm just wondering, why is God so unfair to Kennedy Japan? He is telling prophets that all of them by Kennedy Japan can win. What did Kennedy Japan do to God? This God of our prophets sometimes can be so unfair, it's unbelievable. You understand? But beyond this also, I think it's important to look at the different scenarios. Senna, I'm 100% sure that if Kennedy Japan wins these elections, some of the leaders of the New Patriotic Party will leave the party. Based on what they have said, it will be inconsistent for them to continue to be in the party with Kennedy Japan as the flag bearer, based on their own words and so on. So that is a given. Okay, that is a given. Now, if Dr. Bawumia should win this election, what would happen? If Dr. Bawumia should win this election, what should happen would be that the contest for various positions in the party from the polling station level up to the national level will become a replay of the presidential contest. And those who have been defeated in the presidential contest might be seeking to have their own, you know, and that also raises all kinds of problems and so on. Now, let us have a scenario in which one of the predictions is correct. The one which says that Dr. Bawumia is likely to get 47%.
57.
47.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of the predictions says that Dr. Bawumia will get 47%. Now, if we work with that prediction, it means that there's going to be a second round. And that prediction is also that, look, Kennedy Japan will place second. Okay. Now, if that should happen, the other three candidates and their supporters, how are they likely to vote? If they back Kennedy Japan, it means that Bawumia is history. You know. Now, will they back Dr. Bawumia? And that is interesting. Given the campaign that they have waged, how do they come back now and say Bawumia is the best candidate for Ghana, so follow Bawumia? Kwabena J. Japan, one of the reasons why his campaign is not doing so well is simply because of his conduct in the last elections. You know, he was one of the most articulate people in that election. Came up with a vision, saw all the problems that the NPP had created for itself and so on. But as soon as he lost, he threw his weight behind Dr. Bawumia. When asked, he said his loyalty is first to the NPP. Then raised questions about his loyalty to Ghana. You understand? That if all you care about is your membership of the New Patriotic Party and your loyalty to the party, and in that process you ignore the Ghana project, then what kind of leader are you? And he continues to suffer from that. Now, if Kennedy Japan should win the primaries, will Kwabena Japan, on the basis of the same principle, support Kennedy Japan? And if he doesn't support Kennedy Japan, how consistent can he be? You understand? Because his principle is that anybody that the NPP elect, because I'm a member of the NPP, I have to support. Just imagine that the NPP has elected Kennedy Japan. What is he going to say? What is he going to do? These are all what they call imponderables. Okay? And don't take long. In a few hours, all of these things will become manifestations. And we will see how people behave in the political space. You know. Look, I've heard statements, and I'm just wondering. I mean, I've also heard leading members of the NPP make statements like, you know, Bawumia has to be like Mahama. It's a fact. Okay? Now, who is more likely to be like John Mahama? The person who John Mahama's party elects to take over from him, or the person who has all over the years said that Mahama doesn't know anything, he can't do nothing. Who is more likely to be like John Mahama? It's a very simple question. You understand? I mean, one of the leading lights of the New Patriotic Party, under former President under former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, was a gentleman called Gabi Asare Ochre Darko. And I've heard him. And he's saying that the Mahama record, the first year, is impressive. I mean, I wish we could play his words. He's saying that, look, the government has done so well in its first year. And that his hope is that the government will continue like that. Is Gabriel Chidaku right? Will his hopes be fulfilled? And if his hopes are fulfilled, how on earth can anybody in the New Patriotic Party be daydreaming about winning elections in 2020? They should listen to Gabriel Chidaku, not me. You understand? Now, there is something which is also extremely disturbing. The minority in Parliament actually held a press conference a little over a week ago. And they called on the president to dismiss the foreign minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. Sana, that press conference is so revealing, not about Okudzeto-Ablakwa, but the character of the minority. And that press conference is going to haunt them for a very long time to come. You see, in that press conference, one of the things they said was that, look, Ghana's members of parliament carrying diplomatic passports go to another country, in this case Israel. They are arrested and humiliated. And that Ghana, because we want visas to America and so on, we should not be complaining. Senna, what can be more revealing than this? These are members of parliament who are afraid to protect their own dignity. Forget national sovereignty, their own dignity. You understand? They cannot protect their own dignity. Now, if they cannot protect their own dignity, how can they protect mine and yours? That press conference has done irreparable damage to the New Patriotic Party. And they are saying that one of the reasons why the foreign minister should be sacked is that he referred to what is happening in Gaza as genocide. Now, how can he do that? That is so revealing. They have no problems with the massacre of tens of thousands of innocent citizens, civilians, women and children. They have no problems. We shouldn't complain when it happens. Now, if we shouldn't complain when it happens in other countries, how can we complain if it should ever happen in Ghana? That press conference, it was like they are taking a sharp knife and they were stabbing themselves in all directions. You understand? So strange. You have the United States of America go to Caracas, use nerve agents which are banned, and so on. Use all the weaponry which is banned, internationally banned, and so on, against international law and so on, and arrest a certain president. The NPP says that is fine. You cannot complain. That international law means nothing. Can you believe it? And they want power? Yeah, maybe they can get power, but certainly not for people like me. Maybe they can. I don't know how, but maybe somehow they can. But if you do not respect international law, if you do not want to uphold international law, if you cannot defend the dignity of yourself, not even of your citizens, if you cannot protect national sovereignty, why are you looking for power? Sana is okay.
Thank you very much. And okay, so on the matter of the police deployment, national security, and this is a statement from signed by Henry Nana Boakye, national organizer of the NPP, says the New Patriotic Party, through the Presidential Elections Committee, has formally designated the Ghana Police Service as the only security institution responsible for providing security for the party's presidential primary scheduled for Saturday, January 31, 2026. Accordingly, the party states unequivocally that it will not tolerate the presence of or deployment or activities of any non-uniformed, plain-clothed, or otherwise unauthorized security personnel deployed by national security or any other institution at any voting center, collation point, or any activity connected to the conduct of the primary. We have information that some elements within the national security have planned to deploy unauthorized operatives. Any attempt by national security or any other unauthorized body to deploy operatives to the election will be treated as a deliberate and unlawful intrusion into the internal democratic processes of the party, with the clear potential to disrupt or manipulate the election. The NPP will not hesitate to invoke all lawful remedies available to it to protect the integrity of this process. Any unauthorized presence will be challenged and resisted within the bounds of the law. The Ghana Police Service has so far shown enough capacity and professionalism. We therefore expect the Ghana Police Service to enforce this directive strictly and without compromise. The police must ensure that only duly authorized and identifiable police officers are deployed throughout the exercise in accordance with the assurance given.
This is shocking. It's even more shocking because the author is a lawyer. On what basis can a political party be issuing directives to state security institutions? What is the locus? This is not arrogance. Arrogance is mild. On what basis? That a national organizer of a political party is issuing directives to state security institutions. Why does it happen? Where in the world does this happen? It's unbelievable.
But the same is gonna be.
Just 1 second. Kwesi, you forget that in this country, not all the lawyers took the examination to go to law school. I hate to bring that up. I know you are a proper lawyer. I know you are classmates. You didn't graduate on Sunday. You know, some of them did exactly that. So,
at least the hearing and watching.
I've never heard.
He went to law school.
Speak any law before. He always talks like a buffet.
No, but he said. He said once that the NPP party, that the party is supreme. Understand? So it goes to the thinking. The thinking there.
Still what they said,
the same national security that they put in place. How many of the employees in the national security have changed since NDC came to power?
Giving any of them the chance to lead them, they must be cut off and uprooted from the political platform in Ghana. Ghanaians must not give them any room to feel comfortable after all their crimes. And I still don't understand why Akufo-Addo has not been called to account for his bad and careless leadership. Is Ghana afraid of him, Anna? There's Lawrence Komla Aziamaso, who says, by their fruit we shall know them. Dede says, does NPP think that they are the law unto themselves? Mr. Pratt, I'm also shocked that you are shocked about any and everything the NPP does. NDC should stop treating these folks with kid gloves. In fact, Mr. Pratt started by saying that there's so many things that will shock him, but he was shocked by what he heard. Then let me see this. Alasan Hamdan who says, I know Dr. Baumia will win the NPP presidential primaries on 31st January because from day one, everything has been planned to favor Dr. Baumia. You may manipulate your party members to become a flag bearer, but you can't manipulate Ghanaians to become president. The mafia tactics are too much. A clear example is in the north. If you are in the communication team of the NPP and you don't support Dr. Baumia, they will never send you to a TV station or radio station to defend the party. That's coming from Alasan Yoni, who sent that. And then this one came in earlier. It's coming from Uncle Bermin Wamfia. Oh, I got that right. It says, I think Nanado is the one to make sure that Ofoyata, his cousin and finance minister, returns to Ghana to face accountability. The silence of NPP and Nanado speaks volumes about their credibility and integrity. Well, so we'll start the second topic with Sabo, because you said you have a few things to clear. And it's also regards what has happened at the Supreme Court.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.